Now, there's concern that low-paid and insecure workers are at greater risk of exploitation because of the pandemic. A campaign group focused on Labour Exploitation claims that a large number of people had their wages withheld during the lockdown. Our business correspondent Helen Ann Smith reports.
The throng of cities, the matrix of modern life, is propped up by people whose work is insecure. But in the shadows, there's exploitation, and it's gotten worse. Shortly after dawn, Ivan commutes to glassy West London. Originally from Ecuador, he's a cleaner and paid below the London living wage. Since the pandemic, when some staff were let go, he claims his workload has doubled for no extra pay. He was harassed if he took a break and wasn't even allowed to leave the building while on shift.
Empezaron a intimidarnos de la manera de vigilarnos, que no nos sentemos, que estemos totalmente visibles todo el tiempo.
It must have been very stressful for you.
Pasamos un tiempo mal y estresados, o sea, no solo yo, sino mis compañeros. Nosotros venimos a trabajar, a ganarnos nuestro sustento. Nosotros no venimos a hacer otro tipo de actividad.
Stories like his are often obscured, but not unusual. In fact, nearly half of precarious workers surveyed by their unions said they'd had pay withheld at some point in the year to July. A quarter were forced to accept worse terms. 1 in 5 were too scared to take time off sick. And there were also more reports of sexual harassment. Early lockdowns and job losses left workers with few alternatives and therefore fewer choices. Recent labour shortages might imply that there are more options for workers, more bargaining power. But for the most vulnerable, that simply isn't the case. The pandemic's offered some employers the excuse to embed exploitative practices. And for those who simply can't afford to take even a week unpaid or who don't speak English, the risks are simply too high. This is compounded, say experts, by inadequate safety nets, very low statutory sick pay and delays in benefit payouts.
When the system allows poor behaviour happens. There are good, secure jobs at the top, and then you have this other class of workers, essentially, who don't have those protections, who are low paid, they don't have protection against unfair dismissal, they don't get redundancy pay, they don't have proper sick pay.
As the winter and spiralling cost of living sets in, the fear of fighting back will entrench. Times may be tight for employers, but the unseen and the vulnerable should not bear the brunt. Helen Ann Smith, Sky News.